rifle. There are many like it, but this one is mine. My rifle is my best friend. It is my life. I must master it as I must master my life. In battle, my rifle without me is useless. Without my rifle, I am useless. I must fire my rifle true. I must shoot straighter than my enemy, who is trying to kill me. I must shoot him before he shoots me. I will. My rifle and I know that what counts in this war is not the rounds we fire, nor the noise of our burst, nor the smoke we make.
Fortnite, which I don't understand much of Fortnite. I don't play too many video games. But Fortnite has a Nerf gun. Well, actually, multiple Nerf guns, but this is a sniper rifle. And this is a little funky. I think I get where they're going with this. It's a Fortnite thing. And you can see the stock and everything else is pretty legit, really. Even the scope is pretty legit. It's just not a real scope. So I take the scope off. I might even put a better scope on there, paint it, make it look a little bit more legit, get rid of these logos, change a few things up, maybe even change this barrel. I think this would be kind of a fun little project. So here's the actual rifle. There's the scope. I think if I play with it and make it my own, this would be kind of fun. You know what would be really cool is if I made it kind of like maybe more like a winter-esque Siberian. Maybe not, I don't know. I'm going to try a few of these. Accidentally put this guy in, so now I can't get him out. So I don't know if I can try and pop him out somehow, but he's in there pretty tight. If you put him in before you take this thing apart, you're kind of screwed. There's a tooth in there. And once that's actually on there, then I have to try and pull it out. So I'm going to take it apart, take off the screws, go from there. So I started off with taking off the stock. You can see these teeth right here. When they go in, it for the most part stays in, so I might suggest filing those down. Just makes everything a little easier to take apart in the future. So here's a cross section of it after I took the screws out. So I would suggest just making sure you have a good eye on it, or take a picture of it so you don't mess up. These are the pieces that actually hold on to the stock. So again, I think leaving these in, I think is a good idea. Just filing down the teeth from the stock. That'll keep it from getting stuck in there in the future. Just makes things a little easier. You kind of see what I mean when you put them together. It's kind of impossible to get out unless you use a lot of force. So here's the barrel that it comes with, and strangely enough, inside it's just a standard tube. But what actually makes this really cool is it's rifled. It's actually got a rifled interior, so to help create spin. I don't know if it works, but it's kind of neat little added feature for it. So I'm going to use this tube and just remove the exterior housing of it. I took apart the scope, and as you can see, the scope really doesn't work, so I'm just going to use it for other stuff, and I'm going to use it for the front of the barrel, because it's, you know, it's kind of a neat little shape and everything else. So I'll kind of play around with it and see how good it looks. Everything else obviously could be thrown away or maybe used for parts on other projects, but for the most part, most of it's garbage. But we'll see what I can actually use and utilize. So here's everything kind of taken apart for the most part, just kind of sitting idle, so I can start working on all the separate pieces. But it's everything kind of taken apart and sectioned. We'll see if I can use any of these parts. And I always have a box full of random little plastic bits and stuff like that. We'll see if maybe some of these can fit on the rifle somewhere, maybe as accents or whatever. But this is kind of some cardboard. We'll see if I can actually cover up the logos with this, maybe cut out certain shapes or whatever I can, maybe go over the logos. So, I actually took a hot rod and metal rod and actually burned most of it out. Then I'll take a sander to it and clean out the interior best I can. Plastic's hard because it melts easy, so sanding it might make more of a mess than not, but we'll see. I'm going to go and cut all this. I'm going to keep the back end of this tube so it fits inside of the barrel front. One trick is to put tape around it and actually take a Sharpie, and it gives you a straight line. So I can cut it more straight because this barrel is not, it's oblong, it's not circular. So the more I look at this, the more I realize it probably won't work because the tube is just too big for the front of this. So I think I'll have to cut this back a bit and kind of decide something different. Otherwise, I think the darts are going to get stuck inside the tube or keep ricocheting off this outer piece. glued down the acrylic and then also drilled some holes for the rails. I don't know what's going to go on the rails yet, if anything, but pretty much glue it down, and then it'll be real smooth once I can spray paint it. I used Rapid Fuse. It's pretty much a quick drying super glue. And I'm starting to spray paint everything black. Downside is the sanding is coming through pretty bad, so I'm going to use Plasti Dip on most of this. Started to get everything spray painted, cleaned up. Kind of did some of the interior just in case it wants to come through. That orange is pretty bright. Got the tube started. I'm realizing now how stupid I was. So here's the stock. It looks really great. I rubber coated the back even, but I stupidly put the strap mount on the very back. So for the most part, it stayed the same. Everything here stayed the same. So this piece right here stayed. However, the tube inside, I just used. Then, I used this piece and put them over here. So I ended up actually having this guy here, like that. This one actually came up behind, like that. And I had a kind of a piece like that. Oh. There it is. In all of its glory. So it took me about 2 weeks to do all together. And it could definitely have some improvements, but I think overall it came out pretty well. So pretty much what I did was I removed that exterior piece. The exterior piece of this was removed, and I got the tube. Then I used the two fronts of the scope and put them up here with a few additional add-ons. And then pretty much plasti dipped and spray painted the whole thing. And hand paint some of it. Some of it came out okay, some of it didn't. Covered up the logos with acrylic and then painted those, and then added some additional little features, little black accents. Detachable shoulder strap. New scope. On the very back, I put a cushioned shoulder rest. I got a couple logos right here. I found these really cool pins online, so I put one on each side. And for accenting, I just put some basic random black things that I had lying around the house. This here is a piece of Lego that I thought looked pretty slick right there. I did some dry brushing, you know, for the most part, trying to accent some of the bolts. And then I put the accessory slides, just in case I want to put a flashlight or a laser or something like that on there in the future. These guys are adjustable. All the way down. And of course they can stow away. Unfortunately, due to the seam at the bottom, I was unable to put the slide directly on the bottom. So side-mounted bipod would have been much smarter to do. Then I would have just rolled into the side opposed to the bottom. But because of the seam, I ended up just putting this piece right here, which is actually just an extra strong piece of cardboard. Originally I had acrylic, but the acrylic actually broke. It was just too strong. So we'll see how long this cardboard lasts, but so far it's doing okay. The scope is an inexpensive scope that I purchased on Amazon. It does have a option for color. You can kind of see it maybe. Colors, reds, greens, and different degrees of color.